Good morning. Welcome to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and joining me are my co-hosts, CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets, Lawrence Lewitinn, as well as Managing Director of International Content, Emily Parker. Good morning. Happy Friday. How's it going?
Happy Friday, indeed.
Happy Friday. All right. Taking a look at Bitcoin. Trade blocks indexes are now the CoinDesk indexes. Bitcoin is currently trading on the XBX index at 54,728. Bitcoin is up about 0.6% over the past 24 hours, and the CoinDesk Ether price ETX index right now is at, 2752, down slightly over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. So looking at the markets to end the week, how do you summarize it, Lawrence?
Well, for instance, overnight we bounced off of 54,000's range, nothing interesting to report. And that's kind of interesting itself, right? There's sort of a bit of stabilization in the market, at least when it comes to Bitcoin. What was interesting actually is in ETH. So in ETH, we've talked about the max pain point in the options market. That's the point at which the option sellers make the most money and the option buyers lose the most money. And there is this thinking that prices gravitate towards there prior to expiration. Max pain point in ETH today was 2240 or so. That's according to Deribit. Since the options have expired, so the selling pressure, that's below where we are now, the selling pressure has been relieved. It's kind of gone. And we might see some movement on the upside to ETH in coming days.
All right. And we're also hearing news from Coinbase. They're debuting a PayPal feature, and they're also, in terms of the stock, there's a big stakeholder who's selling a big portion, right, Emily?
Yeah, so lots of Coinbase news over the past couple of days. So as you just mentioned, the Intercontinental Exchange, which also owns the New York Stock Exchange, has sold its stake in Coinbase. So apparently to pay down debt. We obviously don't know the backstory behind that. But also, as you just said, Coinbase has allowed users to buy crypto using PayPal. And so on the surface, this looks really great because these are these two big brand names in crypto joining forces. It's great for mainstream adoption, et cetera. However, as our colleague Danny Nelson reported, when you read the fine print, it's actually maybe not so great for users, in large part because of fees. So you can incur fees as high as 4%. And one of our reporters was just playing around with this and experimenting and saw that, for example, at $25,000 transactions, you could run as high as $959 in fees, which again is kind of not in the spirit of crypto, which is supposed to cut out some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely watch out for the fees. Read the fine print on that one.
Yes.
The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
All right, as digital finance takes off, more Wall Street veterans are wading into crypto. Our first guest was once an executive at PIMCO for 20 years, a global asset manager with $1.5 trillion in assets under management. Recently, he joined Arca, a digital asset manager, which by contrast just raised $10 million in its first funding round. Joining us now is Bill Powers, Principal and Strategic Advisor at Arca. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
Good to have you. So first up, Bill, just would like to get your outlook on Bitcoin, near term, long term, and if you have a price target.
Well, Bitcoin is most well thought of as a store of wealth. It has an ultimately limited supply of tokens. And obviously, we're all seeing a lot of activity by miners with Bitcoin prices up over 54,000. And the cost with low energy prices to mine Bitcoin at below 10,000. But ultimately, there's a limited number of Bitcoins, and it's a global market. It's not a U.S. market. So I think as the adoption rate of Bitcoin continues to increase, the price is going to increase as well. So any target needs to be associated with a date, obviously. But I would say by the end of the year, I would think Bitcoin is very comfortable at the current price slot of around 55,000, and would expect to see it on its way up towards 75,000 by year end.
So, Bill, we have a PIMCO. PIMCO is one of the largest players in the bond market. So, what are you doing at Arca? Are you trying to bring that digital? Are you trying to make it a digital version of PIMCO?
Well, I'm doing a number of different things. One of the things I'm doing is I consider myself as a serial entrepreneur first and foremost. So as digital assets and obviously the subsector that cryptocurrencies came into the mainstream in 2017 and 2018, I thought I had a responsibility as a generalist investor now to move up the learning curve and to understand cryptocurrencies and, more importantly, digital assets and the blockchain. So I think what I'm doing primarily is learning as much as I can about digital assets and working with the Arca team to design products that offer great value with institutional quality management for potential prospects. At this point, Arca is relatively small, so there's, we're at the very front end of a long-term journey.
Anything specific in terms of traditional finance know-how that you're bringing over to Arca, and do they need it?
Well, the whole team at Arca pivoted from traditional investment management. The CEO and co-founder, Rain Steinberg, was a co-founder of Wisdom Tree. The portfolio management, risk management, and research teams all came out of high-yield bonds, which obviously are a bottoms-up type of investment. Unlike Bitcoin, most digital assets lend themselves to traditional bottoms-up analysis, just like any company in the stock market.
There's a sense out there that banking and the bureaucracy behind it of the old traditional legacy finance world is weighing down the maybe slowing things down in finance. How do you think traditional banks will fare in the new digital economy?
I think there's plenty of room for all the above. We've never seen a period with such extraordinary monetary and fiscal stimulus globally simultaneously. So the world is awash in funds, and the pivot towards digital living, getting rid of the decades-old inefficient processes that are both expensive and have enormous time delays on the blockchain is a reality. We're at the very earliest innings of this, so I would expect for the next 20 years, just like you have in the last dozen years in venture capital, seen many new and interesting opportunities cross investors' bows, that the opportunities to invest in blockchain technology and digital assets will be very robust, and we'll be looking back at 2021 as very early part of this process.
Good morning. Can you tell us a little bit about your Bitcoin Trust? There's starting to be a few such products on the market. What distinguishes it, and who are the main clients for it?
So the Bitcoin Trust is, I would liken digital assets, metaphor I use is like the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. You walk through the door and you go to the reception area to check in. Almost every investor in digital assets checks in through Bitcoin, and then as they learn more about Bitcoin and have a comfort and confidence level, they diversify into Ethereum and then go beyond that into digital assets. So the digital asset arena is very robust, is very wide, and the Bitcoin Trust simply seeks to provide a very low-cost, very secure alternative to the higher cost, higher fee Bitcoin as a passive investment holding.
Bill, are fears of fiscal stimulus, of the massive amounts of money that's currently being proposed to be spent by the federal government, are fears of that creating some sort of asset inflation overstated when it comes to things like Bitcoin?
I think the monetary and fiscal stimulus finds its way into every risk asset, whether you're talking about real estate, equities, high yield bonds, credit, cryptocurrency, digital assets, you name it. So I wouldn't speculate that there are many areas of investments. Collectibles are another example. I wouldn't speculate that there's any part of the investment arena that has not been buoyed by this ultra-stimulative fiscal and monetary policy, which raises a couple questions. One, what is the consequence for this down the road, for this tsunami wave of fiscal and monetary stimulus? Will it ever have a consequence like inflation or other negative effects? And the other one is, when you feed people on a diet of entitlements and you keep rewarding people for not working, and the government can write $1, $2, $3 trillion programs, a quarter, how do you stop that?
Yeah. Well, as a follow-up, Bill, I wonder, given those points you made, whether that is a bullish case for investing in Bitcoin. And secondly, I wanted to get your comments on JP Morgan recently announcing that they will be launching an actively managed Bitcoin fund. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think traditional banks have any advantage over those that have been invested in Bitcoin for the last, 10, 12 years. I think they're playing catch-up ball. We used to say, I started my career at Salomon Brothers and then spent a little time at Bear Stearns before 2 decades at PIMCO. And we used to say on Wall Street, monkey see, monkey do. So all the banks are going to try to get into this arena. They were doubtful that this would sustain itself as an enduring real asset class. And now that it has, they're playing catch-up. But just as with my office, I'm turning 64 in August. My cryptocurrency expert is in his young 30s. You're not going to find people in their 50s and 60s, out there claiming to be technical experts in cryptocurrencies or digital assets.
Mm-hmm. Well, you certainly have a head start on them. Well, thank you, Bill, for joining us this morning and sharing your insights.
Take care.
That was Arca Principal and Strategic Advisor Bill Powers. Coming up, a look at Asia and increasing security in the fast-paced world of decentralized finance with C.R.E.A.M Finance.
We are witnessing the greatest paradigm shift in finance in modern history. Join thousands of newsmakers and influencers talking the future of money in a live virtual experience. Consensus by CoinDesk. Register today.
Time now for the daily forecast, an update on what's happening in the Asia crypto markets. Here's Angie Lau of Forecast News.
Welcome to the Daily Forecast, April 30th, 2021. I'm Angie Lau, Editor-in-Chief of Forecast News. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world. DBS, the largest bank in Southeast Asia, among the first traditional banks in the region to launch its own digital exchange, came out with Q1 earnings today, giving us a first look at their digital asset holdings. Since launching its own digital assets exchange for institutional investors, the bank has $60 million or 80 million Singaporean dollars under custody and an investor base of 120. That would be equivalent to less than 10 Bitcoin per investor. Now, the bank says they expect to scale the business in coming quarters and is planning to issue security tokens. They also have plans to expand trading hours from the current Asian trading hours to 24/7. DBS says its prospects have been enhanced with new growth platforms such as Partier, launched this week for blockchain-based cross-border clearing and settlement, and its digital exchange launched last quarter. We spoke to Gemini Asia Pacific Head of Business Development, Eugene Ng, who says the dollar amount might sound small, but it's the interest that counts.
For any business starting up, that's actually a pretty healthy number. It may not necessarily be a blockbuster sort of billion-dollar sort of inflow. The fact that they have, acquire 120 new customers for the exchange. I think that's really a testimony to the adoption of crypto in Asia, especially in Singapore.
No doubt it's the start of building out foundational digital infrastructure, specifically digital identity, which we want to dive a little deeper on today. Cardano just announcing its project in sub-Saharan Africa using a decentralized ID on the Cardano blockchain called Prism. IOHK and its new partner World Mobile are hoping to bring remote offline villages of sub-Saharan Africa online. A decentralized ID will actually centralize user experience for things like passports, licenses, health records, and even education certificates. Being able to verify education records truly opens up new employment opportunities, leading, of course, to a stronger economy. That's one benefit for sure. And it's something that Asia is also working on. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, the nation's central bank, has teamed up with the central banks of Brunei, Cambodia, Ghana, and Kenya to explore digital infrastructure supported by blockchain and how it can be critical for Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. Ravi Menon, managing director of MAS, spoke earlier this week, highlighting the need for digital identity.
We must put people at the heart of innovation by creating end-to-end digital solutions that will purposefully improve their lives.
We've seen examples of this working in India with Unified Payments Interface, or UPI. And now IOHK and Cardano are hoping to make connectivity a little bit easier in sub-Saharan Africa, along with a lot of projects happening in this region as well. All right, let's take a look at how Bitcoin traded throughout the Asian trading day today, down just 0.2%. That's as $4.6 billion worth of crypto options are set to expire, according to Deribit Exchange. It was mixed day across the board today, with XRP soaring to over 12% amid speculations on Ripple's IPO. And a quick look at the Asian equity markets, all red today except for today's protagonist, Singapore's Straits Times. And that's the Daily Forecast. I'm Angie Lau. Until next time.
All right, trade blocks indexes are now the CoinDesk indexes. Checking in on Bitcoin, the CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index is right now at $54,000, just under $500 over the past 24 hours. It's been up about 0.8%. And the CoinDesk Ether price ETX index right now at 2731. ETH has been trailing down a bit by about 1.4% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. Meanwhile, decentralized lending protocol C.R.E.A.M Finance has launched a $1.5 million bug bounty with fellow DeFi platforms to bring stronger security to their protocol after suffering security breaches earlier this year. Joining us now from Taipei is C.R.E.A.M Finance co-founder and project lead, Leo Cheng. Welcome, Leo, to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. All right, so C.R.E.A.M Finance suffered a domain name service hijack in March and a 38 million flash loan exploit in February. Is the DeFi space just not ready for prime time yet?
I wouldn't say quite that. I think it's really important to see what happened during these exploits, and that really these thing to focus on here, I think, is that none of the end users actually lost funds. That is to say, anybody who put money in was able to get money out. And with that said, the industry continues to mature and building out more security measures, as well as these bug bounties and also insurance products to allow the various kind of risk profiles to be scaffolded by the user.
Good morning, Leo. Have you guys found anyone? Have you paid anyone yet to find a bug? Did they find anything?
Yeah, actually, the bug bounty program is very effective. We partnered with Immunify, which is a fairly new service as well. I think the entirety of DeFi is fairly new. And we were able to discover actually one potential bug that Immunify has helped us resolve. And I think this is a really good example of how it's kind of a win-win situation, right? So for black hat hackers, basically committing a crime, stealing something. Whereas if you turn around and say, hey, here's a vulnerability, and if you guys have a bug bounty, here it is. Can you guys, pay me, essentially, from the perspective of the hacker? And then everybody wins.
DeFi insurance has also been flagged by experts as the next big security blanket in the DeFi space. What's the status on that?
There are a few different players. Currently, the biggest one is Nexus Mutual, and they are partnered with Armor Finance. And it's actually fairly good in that insurance costs ranging between, I think last I checked for C.R.E.A.M was about 2.5% for a year, which given the volatility and type of yield you can get on decentralized finance, 2.5% to cover the entire year worth of the smart contract risk is fairly good. So the way you think about risk within decentralized finance is if you're getting yields anywhere from 5 to 30, 40% APY, and then you could basically have a fairly large budget to kind of scale down from that APY to pay for the insurance. And then from the user standpoint, so that coverage actually lets the user then safely say, well, even if a protocol gets hacked or something like that, you get paid. I think what's also interesting to point out is that given some of the exploits, many users for the most part, not all, have been made whole, especially on our protocol. Nobody's lost any money. Our smart contracts have actually not been exploited themselves ever. There are other kind of circumstances that led to certain exploits.
So I have to ask the burning question that I think we're all wondering, is that the name of your company, which I believe stands for Crypto Rules Everything Around Me, which seems to be a tribute to the Wu-Tang Clan. What's that about? Like, why can you explain can you explain the connection between the Wu-Tang Clan and DeFi, or why you decided to name your company after them?
Yeah, so project, actually, not company, but my co-founder and a good friend, Jeffrey Huang, he is one of the first rappers here, actually the first hip-hop artist here in Taiwan, and we're both fans of hip-hop, so C.R.E.A.M, Crypto Rules Everything Around Me, C.R.E.A.M. If you get a chance, we actually do have a clip on our Twitter feed right at the top in the pinned message where Method Man did in fact do a track for us. So
well, we actually did one better. We have a clip of our own. Check out this clip.
Nice.
That's my niece.
We'll give her some C.R.E.A.M tokens if she could change that up a bit and make that Crypto Rules Everything Around Me C.R.E.A.M.
She's still in the fiat world.
Have you guys made the pilgrimage to Staten Island yet? This is really also
No, not yet due to the pandemic. The project founded during the pandemic, and definitely love New York, and would love to visit, certainly. I did spend some time in Lower Manhattan, but not quite Staten Island.
Maybe, Leo, you can give a brief explainer to viewers what the C.R.E.A.M project is all about.
Sure. Yeah, C.R.E.A.M Finance is a decentralized lending protocol enabling individuals and institutions access to financial services. C.R.E.A.M is a part of the Yearn Finance ecosystem, focusing on lending products. It is permissionless and blockchain agnostic. So currently, C.R.E.A.M has launched on Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Phantom. So we're pushing to drive capital efficiency, allowing end users to basically get as much yield safely as possible within the space. So some of my friends basically ask me like, hey, what are you doing with your money? You know, this negative interest rate thing is ugly, or I got to lock my money up for a year to get 0.5%. I kind of chuckle. I show them what I'm doing, and they ask me, is this thing real? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's real money, real enough.
It's real money. All right, Leo, thanks for joining us in from Taipei. Appreciate your time.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was C.R.E.A.M Finance co-founder and project lead Leo Cheng. Dollar Bill, y'all. Coming up, a live music NFT and checking in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day. Welcome Welcome back. Time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk The State of Crypto newsletter. Hello there, Nick. So I saw one of your stories out this morning, an ex-Florida tax collector offering some Bitcoin in the hopes of a Trump pardon. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is the case of former Seminole County, Florida tax collector Joel Greenberg. Readers and viewers might remember him as one of the first tax collectors in the U.S. to accept Bitcoin for payments. He was arrested on a number of charges, including sexual misconduct earlier last year, and I believe the trial is ongoing. He reportedly sent a text message to Trump advisor Roger Stone offering $250,000 in Bitcoin if Stone would help Mr. Greenberg with securing a presidential pardon from Donald Trump. This text was obtained by the Daily Beast, and we haven't been able to independently verify it, but it's part of an ongoing case, and it's been prosecutors have been looking into this for quite a while now.
Nick, you also have been reporting on some developments in the ransomware world. What have you found?
Yeah, so yesterday, a ransomware task force that was sponsored by a number of private entities with support from government agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security in the U.S. and the National Cybersecurity Center in the U.K., as well as Europol, published a report saying that ransomware, basically trying to identify what the pain points are with the growing threat of ransomware and how this, again, growing threat could be mitigated. One of the details they looked at, and that's most relevant to us, is they looked at how cryptocurrency is being used to pay for ransomware attacks. Victims are, sending Bitcoin to the perpetrators in hopes that they will get access to their computers back or their computer systems back. And the report recommended that basically countries have to enforce existing KYC and AML laws to try and mitigate this, but it has to be a uniform enforcement across the world. It can't just be, one or two countries enforce these rules and others give them a pass.
I did want to ask about the AML, some more about this. How has it been received in general? The report came out, but has there been any reaction so far? And would we see potentially an AML, a unified effort on that?
That's a good question. So yesterday, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Defense, Alejandro Mayorkas, did praise the report, said that his department would be looking into implementing these recommendations. But again, it will come down to how does the world react. It's not just, the U.S. has some fairly, strong KYC rules. Crypto exchanges have to abide by a number of regulations. A lot of other countries have similar rules. Some of them are guided by the Financial Action Task Force recommendations. But if a company or a perpetrator can set up shop in, some jurisdiction that doesn't have strict KYC rules or that doesn't enforce strict KYC rules, in theory, they could still, call for payments in Bitcoin. And it's harder to identify who the perpetrators are. It's harder to help them, help victims, find justice there.
Yeah. And Nick, do you just want to briefly, 30 seconds, mention the CFTC has appointed a former DEX lawyer onto their ranks. So what's that all about?
Yeah, so Jason Somonsato, who is the former senior counsel at 0x Labs, is now the acting director of Lab CFTC. The CFTC is a financial technology innovation group.
Okay,
that was cool. Daniel Gorfein's old job, right?
Yeah.
That's correct, yeah.
All right. Thanks for the update, Nick. Good to have you on. Happy Friday.
And to you.
That was CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com.
The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
If you can make it, you can NFT it. A techno DJ NFT'd one of his live performances, and it's up for bid for the next 6 hours on digital goods platform Block Party, offering buyer rights and other exclusive content. Joining us now to discuss is DJ Umek, producer and co-founder of Vibrate, a blockchain music research firm. Welcome there, Umek. Happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks
So
for having me.
explain to us how this NFT works. What portion is live? I see that the bidding is still going on for the live NFT. Are you supposed to be? Are you still live right now, or what's going on?
No, I'm not DJing right now. But basically, you can acquire token, NFT token, and with that, you get rights for my live gig. So we'll actually fly to anywhere around the world, and I will play for you. And it doesn't matter. I can play at your house, or maybe at a birthday party, maybe at a big rave, a festival, as long as the technical rider is met. So all of the sudden, this is one of a kind FT, and the first one actually. And we hope that we're going to change the whole booking aspect for the artist globally.
So this is primarily a way to book gigs, is using an NFT, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And so is it okay? And do you have to, as part of it, obviously, for instance, how much you're getting for the gig? Do you yourself have to then pay for the rights to use music if it's not yours? In other words, do you have to give a portion of your sales to, let's say, record labels and other publishers?
Yes, this depends of the capacity of the party. I guess if I'm playing a gig for one person, then this shouldn't be a problem. But if you're playing a festival, then obviously the promoter, the organizer, should pay the fee for the author rights. But that doesn't have much to do with NFT right now. But maybe in the future, in a few years, we can actually solve that problem with NFTs as well.
Could you just explain, though, exactly why you need an NFT for this? I mean, what is the actual challenge or the problem here? Why would doing this in a more traditional way be problematic?
There's few things. I will tell my way. So basically, imagine that you are a promoter and you're doing a rock concert, and you want to go into territory of electronic musicians and DJs, and you want to book them, and you will go to the agency. First of all, you will have problem of actually book an artist, and you will have to go from a lower tier artist to the top artist, and then when you're on the top artist, probably the agency is going to say to you, "Sorry, we already have a partner for that country." So with NFTs, you assure that gig will have to happen no matter what, So you can, you can do that, for example, or like imagine this. Right now, because of the corona, our market for the artists it's almost completely blocked, and you can actually right now get my gig for a discounted price, for a super discounted price because of the corona, obviously. And you can actually sit on that NFT for 2 or 3 years, and you can then maybe cash it out, or maybe even resell it to another promoter for that. So there's a lot of things you can apply this.
So how does it work then? If I were to buy the NFT and then resell it, the person do they claim it? There's a mechanism to claim the NFT? Is that the story?
Exactly.
So how is so you were talking about the corona shutdown. What do you think will change post corona? And do you think that this NFTs like this is a sign that people may not be going back to the clubs anytime soon after are lifted?
With Corona will definitely change a lot of things, and this is why I'm as well auctioning the first live stream. And you can because DJs are right now at home. There's not much to do except being in the studio, and our income went down for 90% or more. So there's a chance to offer this NFT live stream, and I can do this, and I can play for let's say again for a birthday party of a person across the ocean, and it's not complicated, and I don't need to go to the airport and travel around the world. And as well, imagine this: they can book me like through regular, but they don't gonna get the same experience. Because with this private thing, it's very customizable, so I can do kind of digital meet and greet. I can speak with those guys who are over there and want to listen to me. We can discuss a few things. Then they can say, okay, can you play these kind of tracks of yours that you don't play on these parties? Yeah, so there's a lot of things you can apply to have a special experience.
You're gonna miss the feedback from the crowd, though.
Of course, we're all waiting, to go back to the normal thing. But let's be realistic. It's going to take some time, and obviously, the digital part of streams is here to stay, and this is what we want to disrupt. All
right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, DJ Umek, and good luck on your NFT series.
Thank you very much.
That was DJ Umek, producer and co-founder of Viberate. That's it for First Mover. Thank you, Emily Parker, our CoinDesk Managing Director of International Content, and Lawrence Lewitinn, Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets. Have a great weekend, you two. I'm your host, Christine Lee. I'll be back live at 3 p.m. with all about Bitcoin. Coming up at noon is The Hash. You're watching CoinDesk TV.